Welcome to Turnover Tactics, the brand new six-part series from House Planet and Turno. If the time between guest stays feels like a chaotic scramble, you are not alone. Turnover is often the biggest bottleneck in any short-term rental business. It's where reviews are won or lost and where profit either flows or leaks away. Over the next 6 episodes, we're giving you the complete professional blueprint for mastering this critical phase of operations. We'll show you how to automate your scheduling, guarantee quality control, and build a reliable team so you can scale your business without the stress. In this first episode, with the FIFA World Cup 2026 on the horizon, we're diving into a masterclass in preparing for major events. Our special guests, Chris Rule from Turno and Airbnb ambassador Katelyn Almeda, will talk listing optimization, rapid back-to-back turnovers, and how to handle high demand during peak periods. If you want to set yourself up for success, this is an episode not to be missed. Turnover Tactics is brought to you in collaboration with Turno, the all-in-one cleaning and turnover management platform built specifically for short-term rental hosts. If you've ever scrambled to find a reliable cleaner or wasted hours managing schedules, Turno changes everything. With their global cleaner marketplace, automated scheduling, and real-time updates, you'll never stress about turnovers again. Whether you manage one property or 100, Turno helps you stay guest ready effortlessly. Simply click the link in the show notes to get started. It's time you let Turno take over. Welcome to the first episode of Turnover Tactics. Today, our title is Hosting the Moment, a masterclass in preparing for major events. And with us to discuss this important topic are Chris Rule, the Vice President of Customer Experience at Turno, and Katelyn Almeda, who is a host advisor and Airbnb ambassador. Kate, Chris, how's it going?
Hey, going well.
Hi.
How you doing?
Going really well.
Fantastic. Okay, then, major events. And actually, Chris, recently we were at the hosting crash course in Kansas City. So this is very much at the front of people's minds with the FIFA World Cup heading to the States, Canada, and Mexico in the summer of 2026. We know that high occupancy events often mean rapid, back-to-back bookings. So how can hosts deal with the operational challenges that this represents?
Yeah, I think it starts with the software, right? There's like a table stakes moment that's like, how do you actually operate a turnover, right? And there's a lot of different options out there. Property management systems offer these things. Obviously, Turno is one of those options. But I think when you think about when you're looking for that software, you really need to make sure that does it have things like checklists that you can make sure that there's consistency around? Does it have things like problem reporting and inventory? And is it supported, right? Do you have some level of like customer support that's there 24/7 or just making sure that you have the support you need? I think beyond that, there's some really, and those things are table stakes, right? Like you have to have that stuff to be able to do this really well. And they're relatively inexpensive, right? Like, so there's nothing, it's not like this is like, oh, wow, that seems like it's going to cost me a lot. It actually isn't all that much to be able to have that sort of table stakes level of operations. I think it gets into, to do this really well, it starts getting into the other things like, when you have a customer or your guest is checking out, do you have functionality inside of a software that lets you know when that guest is checking out so that you can get a cleaner into the property earlier, maybe, so that you can have that turnover for same day? Does that software let cleaners know there's a same day turnover and when that next guest is coming in? And at the end of it, like, what happens if there is a last minute cancellation of a cleaner, right? Like, you have this really great trusted network, but how do you know how to get somebody into a property? And I think that's one of the areas that, just where Turno actually shines the most is being able to tap into a network of trusted cleaners, not having to go to like Google or Facebook Marketplace and be really under the gun. In fact, all of our marketplace cleaners are protected by our Turno cleaner guarantee, which means if there is a no-show or last minute cancellation, our team springs into action and actually finds you a cleaner on our behalf and will pay the difference between the cleaning fees if needed. So I think those are the things that like can get you over the top to like really make sure that stress of the turnover is not there or is as minimal as possible as a host.
I mean, one thing I like about that method is that you've got a load of backups there if you need it, because there are so many people out there, and I've been in this position myself as a host, where you have a cleaner, and if that person lets you down, you're in trouble. So, I mean, how important is it to have a backup? And also, talk to me about the importance of having systems for your turnovers and systems that your cleaners understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I think like having backups is very important, right? I mean, and at the end of the day, one of the things that is most important in this sort of relationship you have with your cleaning teams and your really your entire contractor team, that's sort of your boots on the ground, is the trust factor, right? How do you know who to trust, right? It's not that hard to get somebody to go in and clean an Airbnb. There's all sorts of places you can do that, but how do you understand that trust and how can you build that trust? I think that's one thing that like Turnover tries to do a lot, which is bring in reviews for contractors from hosts, but also bring it in from all of the OTAs and guest reviews and things along those lines, so you can actually see a much more robust picture of how this cleaner does cleaning short-term rentals, right? Not just houses, not just, because we know that's it's a different clean, right? There's different expectations. And so having that backup is really important. And I think like having the backup beyond the backup, right? It's one thing to have two people on your team, but all of a sudden Kansas City is going, as an example, is going to have an influx in short-term rentals for a week, right? Because people are going to be like, I'm going to go travel and stay with my in-laws for a week and rent out my house. And now the cleaning pool is going to become much more shrinked. And so, your trusted cleaner or your ability to go out and potentially find additional cleaners in the moment may be hampered by the fact that the supply in that area is going to be constrained by much more because of a very large event. And so how do you lean on actual systems and actual products like Turno, who has hundreds of thousands of contractors within our network at any given time, and has the support to be able to do that, right? The software stuff is really important, right? Checklists and inventory and all those things, but those are all table stakes. And you're going to find that there are a lot of solutions that will be able to handle a lot of those things. And if you have trusted cleaners and you have multiple, trusted cleaners, then those solutions are probably going to be awesome for you, right? But even if you have those trusted cleaners, you can still bring them into a platform like Turno, leverage those existing cleaners. And then when you need that additional layer of, sort of that less than 5% of the time when it happens, you have the option to very quickly engage with a much larger pool of very trusted, vetted, background checked, reviewed cleaners to be able to tap into.
I like the idea of having lots of cleaners on speed dial. That
Yes.
that sounds great to me. Katelyn, then let's talk about mega events and preparing for major events. Obviously, we've got the World Cup happening in the middle of 2026 across the US, Canada, and Mexico. So all those 16 host cities are going to have a lot of matches when there's a massive amount of demand. So when a host identifies a major event happening in their region, what are the most effective listing optimization changes that they should make beyond just maybe doubling the price?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And I would say some of the main things to think about are updating your title and your descriptions. Things like walk to stadium, the stadium are perfect for FIFA fans, or near convention center, if it's an event there. Really calling that out. And before that, knowing your guest avatar, like specifically knowing that that's who you want to target, and then targeting exactly that within your listing and marketing towards that. So helping guests like self-identify. So great for groups or ideal for families. And pay special attention, and this is specifically for Airbnb, but to the first 32 characters in a listing's title, because keep in mind that not everyone books a space on a laptop, for example. Some people are doing it through their mobile device, and that is all they see. So those first few words are the most important. Make sure that you're not being repetitive, calling out things that are going to be listed just below the title, for example. But try to focus on location, amenities, and design. So instead of like condo in Cleveland, 2 minutes walk to X place, or again, perfect for couples or FIFA fans. Use verbs in your description too. It helps people really kind of picture in their heads what the experience is going to be like. Also, pay special attention to your photos, of course. These are always important. If you don't have pro photos yet, please get them, because people are very visual creatures, and professional photography just makes listings perform better in every way all the time. There's actually an Airbnb professional photography program. So if you already have a live listing there, you can sign up and schedule one to come out. And the nice thing about that is you don't have to pay up front. You can pay with future bookings, which is great. But pay special attention to the top 5 photos. Specifically, the very first photo should be your hero shot, right? The one that is just like the best shot of your property. But make sure you're showing things like a fully equipped kitchen, nice and clean, and has all the things that you need to prepare a meal, a large refrigerator for all those snacks, maybe flexible sleeping options, the large living space for you and your buddies to get together and, show the TV if anyone, is staying home for a day but still wants to catch the game. Make sure that you are showing the ample parking. Make sure that the exterior of the front of the house is shown. I would always try to put a photo of that in your top 5, and specifically making sure that you can see a little electronic lock in there that helps people know that they can check in seamlessly on their own. Another little thing that I've always done is I make sure there's a plant in every first photo of every listing that I have, or show somewhat of the outdoor space. Biophilia is a thing, and whether people are aware of it or not, they are attracted to greenery, and it makes them feel more comfortable. So that's just a little trick that I've always done. And then to boost your visibility on Airbnb specifically, Airbnb does reward active hosts. So making sure you do go in and tinker with your listing. I try to go in at least once a week and just move photos around or change the words a little bit. That really helps you stay up higher in search results. Of course, there's many parts of the search algorithm, but that's something that certainly does help, along with responding in a timely manner, of course, turning on instant booking if you're comfortable with that. And then finally, just tightening up your amenities list. So make sure that the Wi-Fi is amazing and fast, have a little coffee set up, have extra chargers, maybe extra towels and blankets, blackout curtains, things like that are going to, really make people feel comfortable and want to book your space.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we can underestimate the importance of photos, getting them right, making sure that they're bright, taken by a professional. Don't just do this on your phone and upload them and they're grainy and dark and bad angles because you don't really know what you're doing. Use a professional. We cannot stress that highly enough. We mentioned it a little bit before there, Katelyn, but also with the price. Especially when it's a mega event and demand is expected to be a lot higher. How can you make sure that you're charging the right rate and you're not underselling yourself or maybe charging too much?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a fantastic opportunity, if you have not done so already, to take advantage of a free trial on something like Price Labs or Beyond Pricing or Wheelhouse, and really get to know the competitive listings in your area and see what they're charging. I think they all offer a free trial period. And even if you want to continue with them, it's really not that expensive. It's fantastic software to have, especially if you have multiple listings, but that could be a great place to start. And a lot of them also have representatives that will do free phone calls, like one-on-one with you. And you can ask, what should I be charging for FIFA weekend? What are we seeing? And they'll take you to the map and show you. And what's nice about that is it's not just Airbnb data. It's usually also Verbo and Booking.com. So just like a much larger data set to look at. And of course, you want to use tiered pricing. The peak nights, you want that to be the highest rates, of course. The shoulder nights, maybe a little bit lower, but still at a premium. Encourage longer stays. Even if you do normally allow a 1 night minimum, I would say at least a 2 or 3 night minimum for those big game weeks. And you want to avoid day of event check-ins, if at all possible. So try to get them to check in at least a day prior and make sure that they're staying at least a couple days. That just kind of reduces the chaos and it protects your cleaners and just ensures quality. And charge appropriately for any add-ons that you have. So if you are allowing pets, for example, make sure that you have that pet fee set up. If you charge for like extra guests, if you're able to set up extra beds, for example, make sure that's all set up so that it's all automated through your platform of choice. When people do want to book, it's super frustrating as a traveler to request a place to stay and you see one price and then, then the host gets back to you and they're like, oh, it's going to be this much and this much more for all these extra things. Like that's super frustrating. So just be really, really clear about all of that and just prepared, just be proactive. Maybe something extra you want to do for these huge events is offer like a stocked fridge for people to come into the house and have all their snacks already in the fridge and all their drinks so that they are just ready to go. But yeah, I think, just opening up those dates as soon as possible. These fans are like, soccer's the biggest sport in the world. And this is like so massive. We cannot like stress this enough. So they are booking up already fast. So just make sure you're familiar with those comps, price high at the beginning. You can always go lower if you need to, and just be prepared for any of those like extra stay, little things that you might offer to them that might be able to bring you in some extra income.
Absolutely, yeah. The upsells always help to get the bit of extra revenue in. And yes, the World Cup is massive. And if you're in the States and maybe you're concentrating most of your time on the NFL and baseball and hockey and all the rest of it, imagine that basically every game in a FIFA World Cup basically gets the same viewing audience as a Super Bowl. That's pretty much what it's like worldwide. And I know that might be hard to comprehend, but that is the truth. So Chris, then let's talk a little bit then about the operations here and getting the turnovers right. So how can hosts use a platform like Turno to build in the necessary buffer time and the accountability with their cleaning teams to ensure that you're quickly dealing with those turnovers, but you're making sure that you're adhering to those 5-star standards?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it starts with integrations, right? Like making sure that, you have strong inputs from where those bookings are coming from, right? We need to know when people are checking in, when people are checking out, make sure that it's accurate, make sure it's real time, make sure it's supported, right? So as an example, Turno has well over 50 integrations we've been maintaining for, multiple years, with all of the major property management systems, as well as all the major online travel agencies like VRBO and Airbnb and Booking. So, those are the types of things that are just, again, they become table stakes, right? You don't realize that it's a problem unless it is a problem. And then once that is a problem, it's a very big problem, because if you have incorrect data that you're giving your cleaning teams around when turnovers are happening, you're going to fail. Like it just is, it's table stakes, right? And then I think it really gets into the quality, right? I mean, you have really robust opportunity to do photo checklists and things, and making sure that things look exactly as you want them to, right? We sort of call it the unwrapping of the gift, right? You talked about how important photos are, right? Those photos better look like the actual thing when you open that door. And so making sure that your cleaning team understands those standards, using an operational software to communicate that to them in real time while they're going through the cleaning, doing these checklists, making sure that it looks exactly as your listing does, so that those guests are wowed when they open the door and not disappointed. And then I think the last thing is it really does get into, how do you, especially for newer hosts, right? And even existing hosts, right? We talked about the emergency side of like when something goes wrong, like how do you go find these? But like for newer hosts who are jumping into the market, they tend to immediately go, okay, well, I guess I just need to like Google, cleaning people or go to Facebook Marketplace, right? Which is there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but you start to realize that there are drawbacks in terms of, are they vetted? Are they background checked? Like, how do you know what the quality is, right? You're going to know what the quality is after that first clean. And at that point, it could be too late, right? Like, one 1-star review or 1 3-star review even is enough to really hurt you in how you show up in listings. And so how can you sort of prevent that as best you can by leveraging more trusted sources to understand who you're bringing in to do this? I mean, the number one thing that when we talk to newer hosts, especially, is trust, right? Like, how do I find a good, reliable cleaner? Like, that is the thing. And, for all the benefits that like Facebook Marketplace has, it's not designed to help you find a good, reliable cleaner for a short-term rental, right? It is a very large, open-ended marketplace. Something like Turno's Marketplace is much more pointed at finding that good, reliable cleaner. And, in fact, it actually, we actually sort of, there's a lot of accountability that happens within that. It's very similar to you as a host showing up really well in your area across other hosts and across other properties. The same thing happens with the marketplace that Turno has, which is 5-star reviews, reliability, ongoing connections. Those are the types of things that get rewarded. Those are the types of things that are transparent to hosts, which allow them to make really solid decisions on continuing to work with trusted cleaners. If you're not a great trusted cleaner, you're not going to get the bookings, right? Very similar to what Airbnb is. If your property doesn't look like it looks and you get poor reviews, you're going to continue to get pushed down that list. So that competition breeds excellence.
I've said time and time again on many podcasts, your cleaner is your VIP for your short-term rental business. You just cannot compromise on cleaning. As you said there, a 1-star review can ruin you. I mean, a 1-star review could get you kicked off Airbnb, and then you're in real trouble. So yeah, you cannot compromise with cleaning. Chris, for a host who is new to professional turnover software, and I imagine there will be a lot of hosts out there who maybe they've just worked with the cleaner who lives down the road for years and years and years, and they've never really thought of using something like this. What do you think are the 2 Turno features that become non-negotiable for success during a major events period?
Yeah, I think it starts with the reliability, right? That's both integrations. That's the how long has that system been doing these operational things, right? Is it specifically built for a short-term rental turnover, right? Like, there's a lot of project management software out there that you can probably get 80% of the way there for, but is it communicating the things that it needs to for that cleaner to do the project without you having to do a bunch of manual intervention to remember to say, oh, that customer had a pet, right? Like, is that information coming through the property management systems, coming through the online travel agency bookings, so that way the cleaner is very prepared to be able to do what they need. So having that reliability and those really robust integrations is really key, right? I mean, Turno handles hundreds of thousands of projects every single month through the platform, right? Like, this is not a small thing. Like, the software just works and it's backed up by 24/7 support. You need that kind of reliability. And then I think the second thing is, utilizing features that really can communicate well with your cleaning team, right? Even if it is somebody that's very familiar with it, right? Like, there are little things that you want to communicate to, whether that's checklists, whether that's, chatting with those people, making sure that those cleaners can also communicate back to you, right? Instead of just sending a text message that they said, hey, by the way, the toilet, it was running and I don't know what's going on with it. Like, you may need to fix it. And all of a sudden it's a text message that gets lost in the day-to-day of your very active, busy life. Is it in a system of record that is like in your face saying, hey, you still have this problem, you need to go fix it, so that that's available for your next guest. So making sure that there's that system of record that both sides can two-way communicate with, that documents everything as it goes, so that there's accountability on both ends and things just don't get through the crack. That's how you get 5-star reviews. It's not the, it's not the beautiful, sheets and all this stuff. Those were all a big part of it. It's when something goes wrong, how do you respond to it, or how do you proactively prevent it from becoming a larger problem? That's what gets true 5-star reviews. So.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I think, for the sustainability of your business as well, getting on top of those maintenance issues, because I've spoken to hosts and property managers in the past, and they're like, they know there's a problem. They just put it off. And then eventually it bites them in the backside. So Katelyn, how can hosts elevate the guest experience during major events? What do you think the small surprise and delight touches can make a stay more memorable and help you to stand out from the competition?
I love that question. And I immediately think of this Instagram video by Alex Tran as the Instagram handle. But this guy, it went viral because he had a space that was very close to the arena for Taylor Swift's Eras tour. And he made just the best experience for his guests. And it wasn't even like super costly or anything, but he had this little like fun game for them and little Taylor Swift like questions on little cards throughout the house. And then they could put them all together and get this cool picture. But he just made a really, really fun, unique experience that was so specific to that particular event that was coming to town. I think, first impressions matter obviously a lot. Having those little handwritten welcome notes or just little goodies for your guests, extra towels, extra blankets, maybe ponchos in case it rains, or blankets that can go outside for outdoor events, having bottled water and little snacks. I partner here in Richmond, Virginia, with a local snack company, and I buy snacks in bulk from them, and they cover all the allergies. So like being aware of that too. But those are always great because I just have my cleaner pick out one or two of those to go on a little welcome basket for any new guest that's coming in. But lighting matters, like kind of going to interior design a little bit, making sure that your guests know where your space is. The entrance is very well lit. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. As soon as they get in the entryway, it's styled nice, maybe some music playing. It kind of sets the entire tone for the stay, like those first few moments of entering the space. Curating a local guidebook, which is something that you should do regardless. But, your guests want to live like a local during their time there. So giving them that local insight, different coffee cafes close by, or late night spots to get pizza, or whatever your favorite things are in that area, let them know about it and support those local businesses in your area. Let's see, making sure that everything's really intuitive, that they know where the trash cans are, that things are labeled, like the light switches. I always have a house manual that kind of explains where everything is and how to use things. I'm also a big fan of using QR codes. Like if some things might be a little quirky to figure out. For example, I have like a gas fireplace in one of my spaces, and if you've never turned it on before, it can be a little challenging to figure out. And so I have a little QR code that's right next to it. People can scan it, and up pops a video of me like, "Hey, it's Kate. Let me show you how to do this." I don't know about you guys, but a lot of people, like I said earlier, are very visual creatures. And like I could read instructions all day long and it's going to take me forever. But the second I watch a YouTube video, it's like, oh, yeah, that's so easy. So just making sure things are like really, really easy and intuitive for people. And just creating a really beautiful experience. I only manage my own properties at this point. So I only have 4 listings, but so it's easier for me to do these things, but it really, really makes a huge difference. And it's something that people talk about a lot in the reviews is just like the little touches. So like having a personalized postcard, like I said, having dog treats if the dog is coming with them, having a dog bed. I really cater to like, I have all dog friendly spaces. So people love that. It's like their babies, you know, or like if you're trying to get families, you know, having a pack and play for the kiddos or games, little things like that. Can go a very long way. Even something as simple as like a $5 gift card to the coffee cafe across the street. People love that. And what happens is they'll go there, they'll spend that $5, and they'll often end up spending more at that local place and, you know, supporting that local business. And it was just like a little touch that you gave to them, and they'll remember that. You know, it's all about how you make them feel.
Definitely, yeah. The little things make a big difference, and I'm somebody who's just put a load of QR codes in my places as well. Big fan of QR codes, and then other things as well, like for the World Cup. And we talked about this at the hosting crash course event, Chris, where we were there. You know, things like having the match schedule, having that poster, maybe having some merchandise in your property, some flags, some face paints, and also remember as well, like you said there, Katelyn, your guests want to live like a local. They want to, you know, if they're coming to America, they might be coming for the first time, or Canada or Mexico. If they're in the US, they'll want to buy a cowboy hat, or they want to go and experience the best burger, or whatever it might be. You know, point them in the right direction of where they can go and experience true Americana. And then another thing we mentioned as well was, I think MLBs or baseball games won't be going on the same night as FIFA World Cup matches in host cities. So direct your guests to say, hey, you're in town, you're in the US, you've got to go see a baseball game as well. If you like football, soccer, it's likely you're going to like a lot of sports. So go and see the baseball too. Katelyn, how can hosts design or set up their space, especially if they want to support high traffic, high usage stays during major events? They might be like back to back for 30 or 40 nights or something.
Yeah, for sure. When you're putting your space together, of course, choose durable materials like performance fabrics, for example. Check out Minoan if you haven't yet. I don't know if that's in Europe yet, but it's really popular in the US. And they specifically help find really great deals for short-term rental hosts. And you can click filters to see like performance grade items, which is really wonderful. Stain resistant rugs, of course. I always like to get rugs that have that are not white, of course, and have a bit of texture to them. And ones that are really easy to clean, of course. Washable throws and linens. Okay, this is like a whole conversation, but linen material, I would suggest cotton, 100% cotton all the way. I feel like it's easy to get little stains out. I like the triple sheet method, which is going to be helpful for your cleaner. If you haven't looked that up, YouTube it, triple sheet method. It makes everyone's life a lot easier. Having, of course, uncluttered surfaces, having hooks for jackets and, you know, for bath towels when they get out of the shower, you know, just thinking about those little things. If you haven't already, stay at your space for a night and see what it's like to actually experience that overnight, because I promise you, like, there will be things that you notice. Like, this just happened to me. I stayed in one of my guest houses a couple nights ago, and I noticed that the smoke detector blinked really, really bright in the primary bedroom, like every 5 minutes. And that might be not annoying to some people, but to me, that was like, oh my God, that is so annoying. So I actually put like a little piece of tape over that. But just little things like that. You want to, you know, just make it a very comfortable stay for your guests, making sure that there's flexible sleeping options. I'm a huge fan of sofa beds, for example, or like coffee tables that can also double as a workspace that, you know, you can pull up to make a little desk. I love like those types of furniture items that have multiple uses. Plants, like we said, even if they're faux, it still makes a difference. People love greenery. And what else? Having really good lighting, layered lighting, making sure you have full length mirrors so people can see themselves when they're getting ready, and lighting on the sides, not just lighting from the top in rooms. It's gonna just look so much better, especially when you're doing makeup, when you have lights, right at your face, instead of only from up here. Warm ambient lighting always makes the space cozier. Design is my favorite part of helping new hosts. So I could go on and on about design. Please do connect with me if you want to chat more about that. But yeah, it's very, very important.
So many great tips there. I love the stay at your place. I think, whenever I've stayed at one of my places in the past, I always end up buying something new for the kitchen because there's always a utensil here that I've forgotten or lost or somebody's taken it or something. So yeah, that's a great tip. And full length mirrors too. Remember, your guests, they're probably going out to dinner each night. They're going to want to see how they look. It's one of the cheapest and most effective ways you can make sure that you're helping your guests.
Yeah, and blackout curtains too. And curtains that go from the ceiling to the floor. That's something I see a lot, is people will only buy curtains that just barely cover the window itself, but it's going to totally transform a room if you buy longer curtains that go from the ceiling to the floor and that are blackout. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah, remember, we're selling sleep, so think about that. Yeah. The good mattress and all the sheets as well. Chris, we have to speak about something else which is really, really important in the short-term rental world: reviews. Let's talk about the post-event review cycle then. How can hosts set expectations before the stay to ensure they secure those critical 5-star ratings, even when it's a high-stress turnover period?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about this stuff, but reviews are all about how you prepare, right? How are you proactive, right? It's how are you ready to go for this stuff. I love what Katelyn was talking about, right? Which is all of the little touches. You want those touches to shine, right? Which means you need to make sure that you nail all of the stuff that's the typical stuff, right? Table stakes stuff. So, do all of the things that you need to make sure that you're not getting dinged for something that's super easy to control, like cleanliness, like a toilet that wasn't wiped down, right? Like a toilet that's running, right? And those are the things when those problems are reported either by previous guests, current guests, you need to spring into action, because it will not only impact their 5-star review, it'll impact your future 5-star reviews, right? When people are telling you you're missing a utensil, for example, go get that utensil as fast as possible, right? You just never know the next guest that's going to be really annoyed by that, right? And spoiler alert, coming soon, hopefully by the end of this month, Turno is launching our maintenance marketplace as well. And so you will be able to find, there's already over 5,000 handymen and things on the network. And so you will be able to find not just a great cleaner, but if there is a problem reported or anything along those lines, you'll also be able to find those trusted handy pros to come in and help you with some of those odd jobs that you may not be equipped or in the area to actually do. So again, adding to the trust factor of finding great people to proactively get those 5-star reviews, so that all of those awesome amenities like Katelyn just talked about can really shine.
Fantastic. And yeah, brilliant news about the maintenance marketplace there. Something that as hosts, we all need from time to time. I think I've got plumbers on speed dial, which I never really wanted to have plumbers on speed dial. But when you start hosting, these things happen. Finally then, Katelyn, what are your top tips for communicating expectations and minimizing property risk when you're hosting event travelers? And I guess when we're talking about risk here, we're thinking about those maybe rowdy England fans who are coming over and they all want to be on the Bud Light at all hours of the day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think it's just setting expectations early and clearly and repeating, just reinforcing the rules throughout the whole booking process. So making sure your rules are super clear within your listing, in your pre-booking message, if you're doing instant booking on Airbnb, for example, you can set up a pre-booking message, and any really important rules you can reiterate in there, or you can ask, questions in there, like what brings you to town? Like, please keep in mind that the max occupancy is 6. Like, please add all guests to the official reservation. Are there any dogs coming with you? Are there any kids coming with you? I always like to ask a few good questions, because not only does it help me like reiterate those rules, but also it helps me like personalize the experience for those guests too. It's not about like policing them. It's just more about like making sure that everyone, including your neighbors, is having a good time, and also identifying any red flags while feeling natural in your conversation. So always keeping the language very friendly and confident and consistent, of course. If they don't have any reviews yet, making sure you say, hey, is this your first time using the platform? Like, what an honor it is that you are wanting to book my place, and making sure that they do respond. I think that's like one of the biggest red flags is no response or like bad communication. I feel like that's a huge, communication is everything, right? So the way that people respond to your questions and your messages will probably be a good indicator of how they're going to be treating your space. And just clarifying like the 3 biggest issues, which would be probably parking, extra guests, noise, So again, having very clear instructions. Hey, quiet time is between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. Maybe, again, offering local recommendations like, hey, if you guys are looking for a good pizza spot, like after the game when it's going to be really late, or like a good club to go to, here you go. Like, try to get them to do that outside of the house after the game, get rowdy elsewhere, and then just come back to sleep. Of course, using tech ethically. So if you have noise monitors or exterior cameras, just making sure you disclose that. And again, that will help keep things at bay. And then, just again, you're guiding, you're not policing. I think that's like kind of the takeaway here, is guide them to do things. Like if they do want to be rowdy, great. Just don't do that in the home, So
guiding, not policing. I like it. Yeah, if you want to be rowdy, save it for the stadium, save it for the bars. Yeah, I like it. Just before we go then, Chris, if people are keen to find out more about Turno, where should they go?
Yeah, honestly, just www.turno.com. There's all sorts of things. You can launch right into a free trial. You can launch right into a free cleaner search for your area. I always get the question of like, oh, is there any cleaners in my area? And then we go and launch it, and it's like, oh, there's 700 in your area, right? So like, you're not going to have to worry about supply, both locally in the US as well as internationally. So just go there. We have an entire onboarding training activation team that will reach out to you once you kick off your trials, to walk you through everything you need, get you connected, give you a bunch of advice on how to be successful on Turno, as well as honestly just successful within your entire turnover process. So yeah, just head to turno.com.
Superb. We'll put all those details in the show notes. And yes, Turno is everywhere, even in the north of England. I found a cleaner on Turno just a few weeks ago, and he's doing a brilliant job so far. So I can speak with experience there. Katelyn, tell us, where can people find out more about your hosting resources, specifically about the plants, of course?
Yes, you can learn all about me and my services at hostwithkate.com. And I do have a couple of design packages if you are interested in that.
Superb. Check it out. We'll put all these details and links in the show notes. Chris, Katelyn, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us on the first episode of Turnover Tactics.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, James. Really appreciate it.
That wraps up the very first Turnover Tactics. Huge thanks to Chris Rule and Katelyn Almeda for joining us. And if you're ready to stop the chaos and start treating your operations like a profit centre, get in touch with Turno, the all-in-one cleaning and turnover management platform built specifically for short-term rental hosts. With their global cleaner marketplace, automated scheduling and real-time updates, you'll never stress about turnovers again. Whether you manage one property or 100, Turno helps you stay guest ready effortlessly. Visit turno.com for further details or click the link in the show notes to get started. It's time to let Turno take over. And remember, for more vacation rental education, head to houseplanet.club, where you can sign up for our newsletter, listen to our podcasts, and download a suite of ebooks for hosts and property managers. Thanks for tuning in to the first Turnover Tactics. Until next time, happy hosting.